No.
Sorry,
To get you guys talking.
Oh.
That's what this is for, to get you.
okay, so what do you want me to do?
I don't know.
Okay.
No fighting.
No talking.
As long as you don't touch your camera, it should be all right.
Yeah, we were waiting for just a moment. You'll note that I'm joined today not only by a number of the members of the Houston City Council, but some city staff and representatives of our police union, our fire union, and the Hope Union was supposed to be here as well, and I fully expect to be joined in progress. We were holding off for a minute for him to be here, but I'm going to proceed. Yesterday, I sent a memo to Omar Reed, the HR director for the city of Houston, instructing him to make changes to our benefits policy for the city. So today I am announcing that the city will begin offering benefits to all legally married spouses of city employees. I repeat, all legally married spouses of city employees. This will apply to same-sex couples who have been married in a state where same-sex marriage is legal. My decision is based on a city legal department interpretation of recent U.S. Supreme Court decisions and other relevant case law from around the country. Folks immediately will say, well, but didn't we have a referendum in 2001 that has been relied on to say that we cannot grant domestic partner benefits or same-sex benefits? However, the amendment specifically permits benefits to be provided to legal spouses of employees. I can only assume that it was contemplated that there would never be a time when same-sex couples were in legally sanctioned relationships that could ever be recognized in a state or by the federal government. But after a careful review, we have determined that case law is such, and in fact, what's happening around the country is such that we cannot continue to treat employees differently based on their sexual orientation if they are in fact legally married. Based on the right to equal protection under the law, it is unconstitutional for the city to continue to deny benefits to the same-sex spouses of our employees who are legally married. This change is not only the legal thing to do, it is the right, just, and fair thing to do. The City of Houston is following actions already taken by several federal agencies, including the Internal Revenue Service, which announced in August that all legally married same-sex couples will be recognized as married for federal tax purposes, even if those couples reside in states that do not recognize same-sex marriage. As a result of this policy change, same-sex spouses of city employees will now be eligible for the same health care and life insurance benefits previously offered only to heterosexual married couples. It is unclear at this time as to how many employees will take advantage of the change because there is no way to know how many have legally recognized same-sex marriages. And in fact, the way that those couples will step forward and communicate that to the HR department is the same for heterosexual couples. You bring in a copy of your marriage license and proof that you have in fact been married in a state that recognizes your relationship. This policy does not extend benefits to domestic partners. We still have a prohibition against that in the city charter. It applies only to legally married couples. Next question may be, well, what about the state Defense of Marriage Act? All of our laws state that we are not required to follow laws that are unconstitutional, and we believe that the only, again, constitutional, just, right, and fair thing to do is to extend benefits to all of our married employees, whether they are heterosexual or same-sex couples. And I'm happy to be standing here today. issue to my attention, but I had been individually contacted by civilian employees of the Houston Police Department, or the city of Houston, civilian employees of the city of Houston. Houston police officers, classified Houston police officers, and some classified firefighters. I assume that they also talked to their union leadership about this issue, but I had already asked the city attorney to examine what our responsibilities were with changes in federal law and the recent Supreme Court ruling, so I'm very happy to be here today, and happy with the support I am receiving within the city. Do you have questions?
Mayor, can we ask David Feldman a question, city attorney?
Of course.
Can I ask you a question first?
Of course.
Do you expect any legal challenges, any litigation over this decision?
No, I fully expect there will be a legal challenge. I'm not aware of anything, but clearly there are still folks in this community who struggle with the issue of legal same-sex marriage.
Mayor, could I ask you one other question before Mr. Feldman comes up here? Is there a cost associated with this, with the extension of benefits?
There will be a cost of the extension of benefits, but we cannot estimate that cost because we don't know how many couples fall into this category. And again, we don't expect it to be a significant cost. When the last time we looked at what the cost would be of providing domestic partner benefits, it was in the range of a few $100,000. It wasn't, millions of dollars, and this is a much smaller pool. So I'm not sure what it would be.
Do you think it will affect the price that the whole pool of city employees will have to pay, or did the domestic partner thing even affect it when you passed that?
No, and in fact, the last time we went out for health insurance bids, and we are in an RFP process right now, the insurance companies essentially said they considered it de minimis.
And you expect this to be the
The
same?
catalyst was for this, why now?
The Supreme Court ruling and the IRS acceptance of same-sex marriages in those states where they are allowed, and wherever you reside, you still, under federal law, now have recognition of that relationship. It seemed only appropriate.
Mayor, I'm not asking for names, but do you personally know of anyone employed by the city who plans to take advantage of this new benefit? Could we hear from?
Can we hear David Feldman first?
I'm happy to make myself available after
Okay.
the press release. So,
Great.
thank you.
And Mayor, not to get too personal, but does it affect your partner?
We are not legally married, but
Okay.
and I've said it. After 24 years, actually our 24th anniversary is January 16th. So, at some point, I fully intend to marry.
Yeah, I think it's very
on the
important.
16th, in a state that where it's allowed.
I'd really like to ask her first before y'all. I suspect that she will say yes after all these years, but let me talk to her first. But that's a separate situation from what we are doing here today.
Mayor, I know this is very personal. I fully agree with what has happened here because I've known him for a long time. But I just have a legal question about Mr. Feldman.
I'm happy to have Mr. Feldman come forward. City Attorney?